So if you had to categorize my life in chapters, I probably had 5 chapters. One would be like wife and kids. One whole chapter is just pogs.
Really good day today. I got my nickname, Pod Boy. We also talked about
Pod Boy.
we talked about Tom Brady's roast, the portal, some 90s stuff.
I've missed you.
We see each other every day.
Yeah, but we don't talk then. We have a totally different pod relationship than we do in real life.
I do think that'd be the tough part of like people who like would pay to be around us, because I think there are people out there and they'd be like they'd be really disappointed when I'm like, hey, pass the stapler. And you're like, what'd you do last night? I'm like, pass the damn stapler.
That freaking stapler now.
But
do you do any impressions?
I only do impressions of myself at an earlier stage in my life.
You just act like yourself from a younger age?
So like 16-year-old Alex, this is pre-tonsillectomy, pre-deviated septum surgery, is what he sounded like. Hey, Zach.
Gosh, that was hard to even listen to.
Yeah, just a little stronger.
Gosh, no wonder you had to get that deviated septum
It's hard because not a lot of people get the references when I quote, because not a ton of people do be.
Is that the time when you got your surgery and you had all that liquid Loratab?
Yeah.
And I just downed that for you. I didn't want you.
You took that opioid bullet for me?
I took a bullet for you.
Yeah.
Had a heck of a weekend, though.
It was a good weekend.
It's like, wait, they just gave you this.
I mean, for one of us. Yeah, I had for context, my parents, I had my tonsils taken out. My parents went out of town like they would after, like their child had a major surgery, and left us. And Zach threw a party that weekend, and all of my pain reliever, which was liquid Loratab, was gone on Friday.
You
I had to make it till Monday.
I thanked you for it.
You did. You wrote me he used to write the best thank you notes.
Yeah. I'm not proud of that, but it happened. So that's your only impression, though, is just of yourself?
Yeah. What impressions do you do? You're a big talker.
I don't do a lot of impressions. I can Peaky Blinders. Like I can do.
Go ahead. Arthur.
Like this is Arthur. Like if he's going to McDonald's.
Okay. Go ahead.
This is Arthur Shelby. Give me a double cheeseburger by order of the Peaky Blinders.
That's pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah. You know who you were really into impersonating when you were young, which I loved at the time, was Eminem. And speaking of Eminem, because you kind of rode the Eminem train, even like right when Eminem was coming onto the scene, you had the same haircut as him.
Yeah. I don't know if I impersonated him. I for sure bleached my hair.
Yeah, but
everyone was kind of doing that. But I always had kind of like a buzzed head. I'm trying to get my drink over here somehow.
You need that. I can reach it with my feet.
Hold on a second.
No, speaking of Eminem, his daughter Haley, you remember from the songs? It's okay, go with him, Dad.
You don't mess with Haley.
Yeah, she just got married, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for her.
Temple marriage.
Yeah, I can see that. Who did she marry? Did she marry someone famous?
I don't know. I doubt it, because they would have. I feel like they would have. She was at least the more famous of the partnership. Because I just saw that she got married. But like, he was a big part of like I feel like our generation's.
Oh,
world.
Eminem's first few albums were huge.
But the funny thing is about him, and I get this way about a lot of people, is I couldn't pick a person who I would least rather hang out with.
For sure.
Like I've never seen him smile or giggle. I'm like, there's no way any of my jokes would hit. And so then I just be like
I think he's gotten better lately. He's like making a push. Like he's with the Lions a lot. You remember when Lions were playing the 49ers? He was always like in the media.
He's got a big PR push.
Yeah.
Well, Detroit. Like he's like a big Detroit fan, but
he looks so different now. He needs to go back to the bleached hair because he's got like the kind of the half beard. It just doesn't look like Eminem anymore. I guess this kind of heads right into our top headlines.
Yeah.
This pregnant lady, I think she got like a hot dog or something, and there was a mouse, like a rodent head
in the hot dog.
Oof. Yeah, so that was a bad beat for Costco.
Yeah, because to find that out, like think of the process you're going through to find out. Like you're for sure taking a bite in and being like, that was a weirder bite. of a hot dog.
Yeah, I think she saw it. It was just like sitting there.
You think she just looked at like the
I
top
think she
of the
opened
hot
up the
dog?
wrap and there was a dead rodent's head. How much money do you think she got from that?
I don't know. Hopefully we're
I
not.
would love to open up like a chicken bake and see some mouse head. I'd be like, I'm cashing in big time.
Yeah, but hopefully with our connection with Costco, like we're not drug into like a class action.
A lawsuit?
Yeah, because has our correspondent reviewed the hot dog yet? He did.
He did.
He gave it a thumbs up. So
Yeah, he didn't say anything about a rodent's head.
he gave it like a gotta have item. And so if this lady went and got this after listening to the pod, which is super
Now
likely,
we are going to get sued.
we're in trouble.
Because our correspondent suggested to get it.
We might need to distance ourselves from it.
Mm-hmm. Are you a big suer? Like, you like to just...
I don't like suing people. I like threatening people that my dad will sue them. Right? I think that's
Yeah.
That's like, you want to get, well, my dad's going to sue you.
No, you're so likable.
Yeah.
When you do that, that's how you make friends.
Yeah, it was a go-to.
Because quickly someone will see you and be like, hey, I do the same thing. And you can kind of create this group of awesome kids.
Yeah, exactly. That run away, that hide under like their dad's legal curtains.
I like to throw out lawsuits and see which ones stick, you know.
Yeah.
They're not all going to work, but...
Kind of a shotgun effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I need to run into some rodent's head at a fast food restaurant or something. Speaking of fast food, you're a big McDonald's app guy, right? Mm-hmm. Why do you like it so much?
I just have to get a deal on something. You know, food's really expensive nowadays, but I feel like if you can leverage these apps and coupons, you can go back to like you can kind of beat inflation that way.
Do you know why Canada freaking sucks?
Go on.
I read this story as well. A kid's in the McDonald's drive-thru and he's trying to pull up the app, and then cop is behind him and tickets him for being on his phone. He gets like a $500 ticket.
Oh man.
Yeah, just trying to use the app. So just be careful, whoever's behind you.
Our app, our podcast is banned in Canada.
Yeah, we got kicked out of Canada the first week.
It was tough.
It was really hard. We had some really loyal listeners up there.
Yeah, but we had to choose either.
But man, what is happening with Canada if you can't just use an app? Because you're saying the deals are incredible.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I still think we should invade, right? I think they're always like, they're getting a little arrogant. You know, all these celebrities like, I'm going to move to Canada if so and so's elected. It's like, where will they be able to go? Like, we can keep our celebrity.
That's how we get it. We just have to keep. Yeah, we manifest destiny.
Yeah, just move up there.
Move up.
We're coming for you, Canada.
Has any celebrity like actually gone through? Because I remember the Green Day guy said he was leaving.
Yeah.
He never left, right?
No, a lot of them was like, I think a couple of them probably did and then came back. You know, you can kind of hop borders a little bit there.
Yeah.
It's a little looser border.
I've never been to Canada.
Really? I just had a layover there, and that was like enough.
Doesn't count.
It kind of, well, it was just like, I'm just saying it was enough. Like, I don't know.
Oh, like you were like, I don't need to come back?
Yeah. It was Toronto. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like I've gotten a good.
No, it actually Canada looks awesome. I want to go there.
What part?
Any part. Montreal looks great. Toronto looks cool. Edmonton looks amazing.
Yeah, it kind of looks like
Vancouver. I'm just naming all the places I've heard of. Alberta.
Kinda
Everyone loves to go there. So.
I think skiing is like the only draw that I could possibly have to go to Canada.
But you already have great mountains here. Why do you need to go ski up there?
Right. That's why I've never been. But I think like the helicopter skiing, you know, they got a little.
Yeah.
Like a great skiing.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. What's the key differences between our politics and Canada's?
So like if you get into the political side, it feels like Canada is like 10 years ahead of the US in terms of like how big its government has gotten, right? How much control its government has gotten, how much. So in terms of like
their government has more control than ours.
Yeah, their government's like has like scary control in certain ways, you know, but
is that just what we hear about on the news, or do you think it's a real thing?
I don't think the news talks about it.
Well, they talked about McDonald's app.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the McDonald's app thing, I think you could get a ticket here for being on the McDonald's app if a cop's being a jerk enough, right? Like if he's into that. But no, I think it's
I would pay it forward. I'd go through the line. Do you know how people pay for the people behind them sometimes? Yeah. I would just pay off I'd say, hey, what's that pig ordering behind me? Yeah. It's on me.
Yeah, that would go over well.
He'll never do it again.
Be like Colin Kaepernick. You're like, hey, I'm just trying to send a message that I want police justice reform, and then at the same time he's got his socks that say cops are pigs on it.
Yeah.
Like, this is just a tough message to send with those socks on.
Oh man, what shows are you watching now?
Oh, we started watching Baby Reindeer. Have you seen that?
No, my wife watched it though. And it seemed like a little mixed reviews, but I've seen it everywhere. Everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, I think the story itself, I think I get into this. Have you met like a really lonely person? The Mission, I felt like I met a lot of really lonely people that kind of overcompensate for their loneliness by just spinning lies and getting obsessed with people. And
I try to avoid people like that, but maybe that's me.
So as I'm watching this, I'm like, it feels like people I've met before in my life, right? Not that like they get obsessed with me.
The stalker girl in it?
The stalker girl, yeah, where she's just like, her life gets kind of sad. And
is that what happened? Yeah, is that the premise of it?
Yeah, and she lies a lot. And then when she's caught in the lies, they turn into like super emotional, crazy people.
Yeah.
To like to kind of push people away and get them back or get a reaction. I don't know. I'm just seeing it too many times. So the story.
This is describing me.
Yeah. Yeah, you are my baby reindeer.
Oh man. Yeah, maybe I'll watch it. So do you recommend it?
Do
I need to see it?
No,
okay.
I don't. I think you can get like, if I were to go back, I would just take like a good news.
You would go
clipping.
back the night where you started and you would say, I'm not going to let's make love.
Mm-hmm.
You talk to Kelsey.
Well, yeah, Kelsey doesn't like calling it that. She likes calling it other things.
Yeah.
She thinks that's too effeminate.
Yeah.
She wants a stronger man.
Yeah. Makes sense. You would just do that instead of turning on Netflix.
I just think there's a good synopsis of it, and the story itself kind of gets a little drawn out. I think a lot of the shows, like this would be a great hour show.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's a little drawn out.
Yeah, the shows, they go too long. I love when a show is 3 episodes long and then that's the whole story. It's not like 6 episodes and then there's some cliffhanger leading into the next season. I like when it's just like open and shut.
Yeah. But I mean, it's fine.
Did you watch the roast of Tom Brady?
I started it. Yeah. Got like halfway through. Pretty good. Kevin Hart on there is really
he was a great host. It's super raunchy, but you can't help but just laugh.
Oh yeah.
Because man, they come at him hard. They go at
Giselle hard.
Super hard. But man, the comics, they're just so funny. And their timing's. And I was impressed with the athletes. I was thinking, oh, this will be uncomfortable. Like Drew Bledsoe.
Oh, Drew Bledsoe was so funny.
The quarterback before Tom Brady. He was way funny.
Yeah, he was.
I think he was a little tipsy, which helps.
Yeah, he was loose up there, but
and Edelman and Gronk is just freaking out of control.
Yeah.
Did you see Gronk's part?
I didn't see Gronk's part. I just saw everyone making fun of Gronk.
There was so many good ones. There was only a couple bad ones. Like, you had Ben Affleck. Oh,
was he on there?
He bombed so bad. He just got up there and I think he was projecting almost like. They were talking about trolls and haters online, and so he was kind of saying people hated the Patriots and this is them getting back at him. But I think he was kind of saying people attacking him with J-Lo. He wasn't saying that, but he was almost projecting that.
Yeah,
it was weird. And
I don't like that because you're not Tom Brady.
He wasn't hitting on any jokes. He was the worst by far.
Really? Now I feel like I gotta watch it.
He came off so negative and just. Kind of spiraled. Does
he just suck up to Brady the whole time?
No, he's just yelling at the camera. He's yelling at some random Twitter user the whole time.
Oh man!
And he looks terrible. I think he's on Ozempic, and he just looks like crap. All these guys are he might have got some they gave Tom Brady a lot of crap for some of his plastic surgery and stuff.
Yeah,
but some of them are looking bad. Even have you seen Ryan Gosling lately?
Well, I saw him in that Free Guy show, but I don't notice that stuff.
They start to look like cats.
Yeah.
They get that done, and they look like they're becoming cats. And that's Gosling. Some of these angles when he was on the red carpet, I'm like, what's going on with your cheekbones, dude?
Yeah, I hate that.
I know, that gets out of control. But Affleck, the Ozempic, I think, is why he looks so crappy.
But what's your draw to be on Ozempic if you're already pretty fit already? I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah, I think they just want to get skinnier.
Really? Even skinnier?
But he it sinks his face in. I don't know. I don't know about Ozempic. I think I don't know if it's good for you. But at the same time, if these people that are overweight are eating less, so it kind of offsets. But I don't know if there's some long term. I did hear that you can get pregnant very easy on Ozempic. So
Oh.
all these old ladies that are like in their 50s, like some people are getting pregnant because it like makes you get pregnant.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Maybe it's the miracle drug.
Yeah, it could be.
Keeps you thin, gets you
Yeah,
pregnant,
there needs
keeps
to
you
be,
fertile.
if this world needs a lot more like 50-year-old ladies pregnant out there, you know.
For sure. Are you watching, your wife watch Kardashians?
Not really, no.
Kelsey doesn't?
I mean, she like Kelsey, I'm sure will like catch up every once in a while and like keep her ear to the, you know, to the
Yeah.
wall that way.
Dude,
But
my wife, Liz watches, I mean, it's constant. They're
Really?
like part of our family.
oh
I think like my kids think that Kim's like their aunt at this point.
yeah, she's always on. But
They're
what's
always
what
on.
like what
And
are
they
they doing
swear
that's
and
new?
stuff.
Yeah, what are they doing that's new though?
I don't know. I don't know if she's watching reruns or what, but it's always on. There's always a Kardashian talking at my house.
I gotta talk to Liz more because every time I'm with her, I air grievances, but I always leave stuff out. Like I forget so many things that I dislike about her, and so it's like I need this.
Go at her for that.
Yeah,
I do kind of feel bad for these Kardashian husbands. Like they're getting so much plastic surgery, you know, at some point, like they're like going out of the country to get this stuff done.
yeah.
Like how are they getting their action?
I don't know. I think me and you, like, we're gonna have to really dive in. We're gonna have to get new cheekbones.
I would love to look like a cat. Yeah.
Oh man,
It's weird. It's bad. And it's like, I don't really know. I guess you don't notice when it's bad, when it's not bad, because you're just like, I guess they got decent surgery. But when they start to look like cats.
yeah. The face kind of it's a cat look. We get some whiskers going.
Have you seen this? I meant to talk to you about this earlier. The portal from Dublin to New York.
I freaking love that portal.
Oh my gosh, what a great idea!
It was a great idea. You heard they shut it down though,
Yeah,
right?
that chick, some girl from OnlyFans girl was flashing all the Dubliners.
Yeah, that's the last thing the Irish need is.
Yeah,
You know, they've had a tough go. I know. I loved watching it though because
whatever, those Irish, they're probably loving that.
did you see how it like started? You know, kind of the battles back and forth. How they showed a picture of like the Twin Towers, like with planes in them and stuff.
The
Dublin
Irish people did?
The Irish did. They hold it up to the camera, and so then somebody responds back with like a picture of a potato up there, and also there.
Oh, that's solid. That's a solid comeback.
Yeah, humanity. I mean, if you're gonna like encapsulate humanity, I think Dublin and New York are
Yeah.
like the
Where
two
else would,
spots.
if you had the option to like put it somewhere else, where would you put it?
I think you could get like Ogden would be like a good choice. Ogden,
Okay, somewhere that's cool.
okay, somewhere that's cool.
I was thinking like I feel like North Korea could get a lot of good press because they always like to put their nice buildings up where people can see, you know, just act like it's like going really well.
Yeah,
Just put it and just have people like happy the whole time. On the other side.
yeah, because they always look. I always see this meme, but like North Koreans always look like Wii Sports. Remember the old Wii Sports characters? So they're like bouncing around and clapping really fast.
They're very happy.
They're always doing that when Kim Jong Un's around.
Yeah,
right?
so that's if you could put a portal there.
Yeah, I was thinking more like the North Pole because you could like it'd be really interesting to see. You know, every once in a while, maybe like a polar bear hopping around, or you know, if there's a Santa Claus. If you know,
I'd much rather have like a random like OnlyFans girl flashing the portal than a polar bear. Yeah, I think you might be one of the minorities on that one.
Yeah,
But yeah, someone said on like Twitter, it was like, this is why we can't have nice things. It was too good. Yeah, you had to know that's not going to last too long. But it does kind of you can kind of see the cultures, I guess.
I think there'd be less war if there were more OnlyFans people spreading the good word across countries, you know, like that. Because you think Hitler's like invading if freaking...
He's too busy like filming his feet.
Yeah, if you got Marilyn Monroe here, I mean, I don't know if that's the same. I mean, I guess she's a few years. She would be really young.
She's pretty young.
Okay, we'll say like, who were we at war with? Because we've been at war with somebody since. Do you think the North Vietnamese, if they had a portal with Marilyn Monroe, do you think they're going to be like, yeah, we should keep fighting? No, they'd be like,
so
whatever, we surrender.
You think entertainment slows the idea of war down?
Yeah, entertainment. Oh, for sure. Yeah, and you like get good-looking women. They transcend hatred. You know, nobody can hate. You know, nobody could hate a person whose country is giving such a gift. You know,
I think you're onto something there.
I'll try and set it up. Might be It'll be tricky with
Yeah.
Celts. We'll figure it out.
I've already started Kelsey's OnlyFans.
You did?
And she just, all she does is crush cans.
With her,
It just has her, and it's just a tight
her
shot of her
feet?
hand in a can, and just, and people, there's a whole genre of people that like
dudes
that.
love that. Yeah. I don't, but dudes.
Yeah, but yeah. So it's supplementing some of your income.
I appreciate
nice.
that. Yeah. You've always looked after me that way.
Yeah, she crushes them. It's impressive.
I'm so glad she doesn't listen to this podcast.
Yeah, she would slow it down.
She would. She'd be texting me right now, just being like, "You better not be podcasting again. You better be with your podcast.
You better not be in Pod Boy. They call you Pod Boy out there.
Yeah, she's been calling me Pod Boy for years too.
She makes you put the headset on at night. Oh man, let's get to this day in history.
Okay,
Do you know what happened? This is 1506. Guess what happened?
Okay, 1506. I mean, the Spanish are going full bloom then.
Yeah, you're on the right track.
Okay, they're in the New World, or Christopher Columbus is doing something.
There we go. It's about Christopher Columbus. Columbus dies in 1506. Today in history.
Wow.
And the natives, I'm sure, were very sad about that.
They were bummed.
What do you got about Christopher Columbus? What do you know?
So Columbus was Portuguese, right?
Yes.
That sailed under the Spanish flag because the Portuguese they didn't want to do. They weren't into that, right?
I think they were all just into that over there. They had that coastline. They were all just map makers and
they just didn't want to finance it. Maybe the Portuguese. Plus, the Portuguese had their secret hole and ace up their sleeve, which was Japan at the time. So they're just freaking making money trading with Japan. Nobody else knew about Japan, so they didn't really need to keep exploring India.
Yeah. So the Spanish.
So the Spanish decide, we'll fund this, and he goes, and I think people like paint him out like he was an idiot. I think to sell, like, he may have been a little bit like arrogant, but I don't think he could have been dumb too.
I don't think he definitely wasn't dumb, but essentially, like, this first one, he can't find funding for years. He wants to go look for this, essentially right then they were getting all their stuff from, Asia through the Silk Road, but the Muslims have like essentially taken over a lot of those spots. So it's harder. So he's looking for a different passage to get all this stuff from Asia. So it took him years, but I think it was Isabella and her husband, the Spanish king and queen, were like, all right, we'll fund 3 ships.
Ferdinand and Isabella?
Yeah.
Maybe.
The Nina, the Pinta,
Santa
the
Maria.
Santa Maria. So he takes those 3, and he doesn't have a ton of people with him. And then he's just looking to get to Asia.
Do you think they fish on the way? Like, they're on their way? You think they're fishing, or does open ocean not have a lot of like...
That's a good question. I don't think we know a ton about that. I'm sure they're fishing. For sure they're eating fish.
Right?
Yeah. But yeah, I think he thought the world was much smaller than it was.
Well, they credit him for like the flat earth, like being the first blow to the flat earthers, even though the flat earthers would eventually have their revenge under Kyrie Irving. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for a while, he did a lot of damage to them.
Yeah, I think he was. He kind of didn't prove it. Like, it was, the idea was there. A lot of people, but that's why he couldn't get funding, because they're like, "Hey, you're just eventually going to fall off a waterfall into nothing."
Yeah, nothing.
But his whole time, he took like 4 voyages over there. So the first time he hits like somewhere in the Bahamas, and he comes across all the natives there, and they're pretty cool natives to him. They're nice to him.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's great at what he does. I think he sinks the Santa Maria off the coast, and they were expecting to find a ton of gold. This is why he was even sent out there. There's no gold where this is at. They're barely even like staying alive off food. So he takes what the natives have. He takes a bunch of slaves back to Spain, just to show the king and queen, like, hey, this is what's going on over there. Here's the slaves. And they're like, hey, relax on the slaves. Like, send them back. Like, we don't want to be part of that whole thing. So eventually from that he becomes super famous, because he's brought these 2 hemispheres together, which no one even knew about this other hemisphere.
Yeah, who ends up, because he for sure thought he went to India. Who ends up telling him, be like, hey,
I don't think he
by the way,
ever,
that's not India.
I don't think
Or do you
he
think
ever
he dies?
thought, I think he always thought he was close to China.
Really?
The whole time. Yeah, because he would land on these little islands in Bahamas and go and be like, hey, you guys set this up. I'm going to go search a little bit more for, essentially China.
Okay, so here's a trick question though about Columbus, right? So he's credited for discovering the New World, but there's actually...
He never, ever stepped foot in the New World.
Well, yes, exactly. Never steps foot, but also there were two groups that had discovered it prior to him. Do you know who those two groups were?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go on.
I'm going to say the Vikings because they're 100%.
Yeah.
But they didn't one thing about the Vikings, they didn't really establish a really good stronghold when they got
Well, they
here.
got attacked, right? So the Native Americans were smart then.
They landed more north.
North, exactly, near Canada.
Yeah, so they're not landing on these Bahama Islands. So
but
maybe
they did establish a settlement, and they kept getting attacked, and the natives just grouped up and were stronger target, which was, if you're a native, right, they must have had some time machine be like, hey, these guys may look cool, but they're going to bring lots of diseases.
And the other one was China?
No, so the other one, there's like rumors that like maybe China, but the other one is the Polynesians.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure there's a bunch of people like that.
Because in like the Polynesian islands, there are they think this, right? This is like the evidence that they have is they have sweet potatoes on these Polynesian islands, right? That really could only make sense if they came from like Peru. So meaning they had sailed into like Peru or Chile or one of these places, traded with the locals, got some sweet potatoes, got back on their ships and went back to like their island. So, but that's a long freaking way, right?
Long ways, yeah.
I mean, that's as long as it is to get from Europe.
Over from Europe, Yeah, it's kind of interesting. His legacy is interesting because I think it wasn't until like much later, like in the 70s and stuff, that we're like, wait a second, he's like, wasn't a great person. And I think they started to piece like the histories together because I know his second voyage, he takes like 20 ships on his second voyage there, and he gets to where he had originally landed like the year before. He'd left 40 of his men there. They're all dead. The natives had turned on him. Like they're all dead at that point. And so I just don't think they had a really good setup there, and he could never find any gold. And he ended up going back a bunch of times, but one of the times he goes, I think the last time he goes back, or like one of the last times, they essentially like arrested him. Like they're like, hey, you're treating the natives so bad. We're arresting. So they put him in handcuffs and sent him back to Spain.
His own men did?
His own men did. And he's in prison in Spain for a while. And then eventually they let him go. But
just being a jerk to these.
Just being like, he was just over the top with natives. And it could have been like some political rival that did it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think I do lose a little bit of patience though for the anti-Columbites out there, because I'm not saying we have to like, I think if you idolize anybody in history, it's a very bad idea. Like people, especially when you look into like anybody in like the past, like the world's a way better place and people are way cooler on average than they were back then, even though your own personal biases might not think that. Like people did, like all of these people that came over, they were all like almost all bad eggs, right? Like very self-interested. And also like these Spanish, people tend to, and even the Japanese were like this, they tend to think that they are like the superior creatures, right? Like people think there's this idea that this started with Hitler and like the Aryans, but people have been doing this for thousands of years. They just look at everybody else as kind of subhuman. So they go over there and it's not like they're committing crimes against fellow human beings or brothers and sisters.
Like
these
inferior. Yeah, I know at one point he gets stuck over there. He comes on his very last voyage, he wrecks and he's in Jamaica for like a year. He's stuck there forever because he doesn't have the supplies to get back. And so he convinces, he goes all like Quetzalcoatl God style and says, hey,
that's what I would do.
I'm going to like, there's a lunar eclipse coming and I'm going to tell you that it's going to, like, if you don't give me my stuff, like the whole world's going to be like red for a minute there.
Oh, that was genius.
Turns out it's true just because he had that edge on astronomy.
Yeah. And
then he eventually got back to Spain from that. But he just took advantage of like, the natives that way.
I tried to do that on my mission. I brought an iPod out with me. It was like, iPod was brand new. And it was the same thing where I'm like, I want to be Quetzalcoatl, right? I want them to look at me not as like just like a
They'd heard of
buddy,
Steve Jobs
like,
at that point.
Yeah.
Even the Mexicans down there.
Yeah. So it backfired. They're about to roast me. Luckily I had a companion who could speak the language and he got me out of a jam.
Do you know why do you know why they were so affected by diseases? Or why they brought so many diseases? How that happened?
I mean, I mean, you have the European and Asian continents, which were connected. So you felt like there were probably more humans and with more humans, more diseases that they were exposed
used to it more. They're dealing with probably livestock more. So I know like the swine flu just freaking wrecked like 80% of these indigenous people.
Yeah, they weren't.
And so they weren't used to that.
They weren't into that. The American people like probably weren't maybe they were raising jaguars. Back then they had a lot of jaguars walking around.
Yeah. So if you don't know, Columbus, like what you're seeing as like Dominican Republic and Haiti, that's essentially where he set up shop on all these the very first time he landed was in that. It was called Hispaniola.
Yeah.
But
they still call it Hispaniola.
He'd seen Cuba. Like he just never got to the actual Americas or set foot on there. But he did. There's pros. I mean, he wasn't a great guy, but he did like set it up for people to actually want to explore and like say, hey, there's something over there. Even though he thought it was Asia the whole time.
Yeah.
It still like inspired people. And they got a lot of food from like, they brought back like spices and like tons of good livestock and food and like potatoes all from here.
Yeah, tomatoes and potatoes.
Yeah.
I mean, potatoes were like like a life altering crop. You could just throw them wherever. And then you got food.
But not as much gold. They later found gold.
Yeah, they found
a lot of gold.
They got there, but
not in Columbus' time.
No, I think if you could go back and you were Columbus, this is also where I'm like, hey, just be cool with these people for not being them, because I think of myself as an explorer, and I think I would have been cooler to natives, right? I mean, I feel like I would have had that going for me, but I also would have been very dumb. So I think I would have shown up and be like, yeah, for sure, this is China. Like we made it to China.
We did it, guys. Yeah,
and I wouldn't even walk around the
guys out to like, hey, just go get the gold.
Because I love shortcutting, right? Like I love the idea of a good shortcut. When you were a kid, half of your life was spent to finding cool shortcuts.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you remember playing video games and you remember Mario 3 or Super Mario World, and you could get to Bowser's Castle, or you could find the trick to get to the back door.
I don't remember. I remember getting up like almost on top of the screen on like, maybe that was Mario 1, and you would just climb on the top. And
that was, I think, Mario 3 when you'd fly up and just run on the top.
But you had to have the wings, right? And you get those from mushrooms?
So you have to start with the mushroom, and you work your way up to a feather or a leaf, or depending on which game you're playing.
Mario 3 was awesome.
Mario 3 was really good, yeah. Mario 2 was weird, and the whole thing was like a dream.
Yeah, you're right. It was kind of like a dreamy thing.
But there was some cool gameplay with it, right? But I felt like we played that one a lot because it was multiplayer, and none of the other Marios were really multiplayer until you get like the recent ones.
What was your Nintendo strategy to get a cartridge working? Okay,
so it's twofold. I learned this from my buddy Todd Mackey, who, great kid. His dad actually killed his mom, though.
Yeah, that's a whole story for a different pod. But
he's out now, though. His dad's out now.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's thriving.
I think he went through the
so system. all you murderers out there, there's a chance that you can still
come clean and serve your time. And but anyways, he used to do this thing where he'd lick the inside of the cartridge, right, and not just a little lick, but like stick that tongue in there, lick that cartridge, and then it's.
Everyone had their own,
and I will be damned if it did. I mean, every time work.
A lot of it came down to how hard you put it in. I would put it in really hard, and then just like hard on the cartridge.
Do you think if we would have just put them in normally, or maybe just stored them back in the case, that they would have worked every time?
I don't know. I think everybody had the same issue with the Nintendo. The dust was a big component.
But yeah, I don't know.
Everyone had their own style.
We used to put one cartridge above the cartridge.
To keep it tight.
Yeah. It would read better. But I feel like all these things would eventually wear out, and then you'd be stuck with a system that was really finicky. And you'd be playing a game and all of a sudden it'd freeze up. These kids have no idea.
They don't. Idea. They're missing out a lot of nostalgic things, though. I really miss those days. What's another like big nostalgic thing from the 90s and 80s that you remember?
I'm trying to think of something that isn't relevant today or much better today.
Blockbuster?
Yeah. Blockbuster was awesome. Going to Blockbuster.
I still miss, I think I would go there if like I'm kind of done with, there's too many options essentially.
So you want to just go and just browse, cruise.
I like that. That was like a part of the date. And that was part of your night is like you go get dinner.
Pick a movie.
You pick a movie and you're walking through there. You're trying to come out with one and you end up like having to start it really late. But now there's so many options. You end up scrolling 10 times longer than you would be just walking around Blockbuster. That's my take.
Yeah, I don't miss it personally, but I was also like, I was going to forget, I was going to be late, and then you're paying $6, for a show you got to watch once.
Yeah, but now Netflix, like you can't just share out your stuff. Like you have to have in household. Like, dude, with Blockbuster, you could just hoard that, video out to everybody. Tell you how to get it back. And who paid their fines anyway? I don't remember paying fines for Blockbuster.
Yeah, they eventually went bankrupt, so good luck.
Yeah.
Statute of limitations.
Mm-hmm. And it's been a while.
Yeah, I miss the excitement on pizza too. You remember pizza, and people were so excited about pizza back then.
I feel like people still love pizza. I think
it's just different.
Probably the most popular food in America at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a different thing though. There's so much of it, and our kids are so used to it.
100%. We just didn't get it all the time. Now it's like pizza all the time. I remember they used to put the little table. I used to think it was like a mini table, but they keep all the slices together.
Yeah, is that what that was for?
Yeah, and they used to make it was like Pizza Hut was like the place. Pizza Hut was big. If you it would be a really special night if you went to Pizza Hut. It'd have to be after like a baseball game.
Yeah, that dimly lit room. Like that was like great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I miss like getting home from school and just turning on the TV and just having like a good episode.
I like
watch.
That. Yeah, and your attention span was much better then too, because you had to watch what was on TV. And the next show you might not like it, but you still watched it. And then when MASH turned on, you knew like, oh, it's time to go to bed.
Well, where kids are getting screwed too is we had commercials. Don't you miss commercials? I mean, there were some great commercials.
They put a lot more production in the commercials.
Yeah, and now it's like these kids, you got to skip all the commercials, and there's a lot of great products out there that can improve their lives, improve their parents' lives. So they have no idea.
You fell in love with some of these cereal mascots.
Yeah, I mean nowadays it's just like no
one knows who Tony the Tiger is anymore.
No, or like the Lucky Charm, the Tricks kid, like they couldn't catch the rabbit.
Yeah.
Or was it the rabbit getting caught?
The rabbit was, who was the one that they wouldn't give him, the Tricks kid, like they wouldn't give him the product. It's like, sorry, this is for kids. Tricks are for kids.
Tricks are for kids, yeah.
That was
the rabbit. The rabbit's just trying to get.
They screwed the rabbit.
They did.
I felt bad for the rabbit every commercial. I would sob.
Well, he was like, he was like an American hero, that rabbit. You know, he was giving his all. And those greedy little kids, their parents probably freaking bought them all that Tricks anyway. They didn't pay for themselves.
No way.
It's like just share.
Kids. They weren't sharing at all.
But it really broke our generation because you felt for that rabbit, and those kids were so heartless. And you're like, I'm gonna raise my kids to share their Tricks.
And you've done that. You've been a great father to your children.
Thanks. Love you, boys. All right. Another thing I loved about the 90s was just getting, like, the idea of getting lost, you know, like as a kid. Like, it was a real proposition, right? Like, you get lost in a grocery store, you get lost places. Nowadays, it's like, no one's really ever getting lost anymore.
And I don't think our parents really felt nervous about that. They were just kind of like, oh, eventually you kind of end up home.
Yeah, they kind of felt like home had its own, like, gravitational pull.
If I lost my kid at a Walmart, I'd be panicked right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it just... there's just less excitement that way.
Yeah, and I miss those days where you could get bored. Kids, they refuse to get bored now. So back in the day, you would just be bored and have to like figure something out. You'd end up like magnifying ants.
Yeah.
I mean, I never did that actually. I would do a thing with ants though, where I would like pretend I was like this big water, like tidal wave hit them all, and I'd push them down our driveway.
That was you. I remember seeing those corpses. I picked them up. I remember I have an emotional image of me picking up their lifeless bodies and taking them to the grass and having a little funeral seminar.
That's probably where I got all the joy. Is just you were such a lover of creatures.
Yeah. You know what else kids aren't doing though? They aren't shooting out windows with BB guns like they used to.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I've heard that sometimes kids can get so curious as to whether a BB gun is loaded. You want to recount this story in Centerville?
Yeah, that was when we were kids, and I had a loaded BB gun. I don't know, I was just hanging out in the kitchen with it, and I saw that we had a big old window to the back patio. I just shot that thing. It shattered into like
a billion pieces.
It was beautiful.
This is like
my parents were so upset.
They were pissed.
But that'd be a hard window to replace.
Let me add a little bit of detail to this story. So I was the one who had actually brought the BB gun inside. Now I wasn't the one who took the BB gun and pointed it at the window and pulled the trigger out of curiosity.
It was either the window or you.
But I got equally as chewed out for the whole situation because I had brought the BB gun inside, even though bringing the BB gun inside was a normal thing you did with the BB gun when you were done using it, right?
You got screwed a lot from guilty by association.
Yeah, it was. I still remember like back being like, I felt like I needed to pay mom and dad back for this.
We should pay them.
No.
Send them a Venmo from your account. Yeah, that really ticked them off.
I still feel like I feel like I was the one who pulled the trigger.
I was curious back then. I did a lot of stuff like that. And another dumb thing that kids don't have to deal with now is cigarette lighters in cars. I would just push that button. One time I was like, it's all red. Put it on my thumb.
Happened to me too.
Yeah, that just happened to everybody. Everyone was always just curious to see how hot that actually was.
Up.
It destroyed your fingers instantly.
Because you're like, I can touch it quick, and it like just knows. It just sticks right there.
Yeah, it lights something really fast. But yeah, cigarette lighters in cars, kids don't have to deal with.
No.
But they're missing out.
Yeah, it's
because we could have lit a cigarette anytime we wanted. And that was freedom. True freedom.
Yeah. Yeah, light a cigarette as a kid. Yeah, I think there's a lot of good that comes with them not having experienced some of those things. But there was a lot of good that came with like taking a BB to the shoulder. For
You're trying to change the course because every generation complains about the younger generation, says how weak they are, and you're trying to change that.
Well, I think we can't complain about them because we're creating them. Like we're making this generation.
Yeah,
soft, right? This is like our choice. We're
100%. This is my kid. Yeah, because of me.
Because we don't want them to deal with that, but on the flip side, it's like we don't want to because we know how big of babies they are.
Yeah,
they could never ever hack it.
Oh my gosh, you were into a lot of extracurricular stuff.
Yeah,
I was about getting home. I wanted to catch the next episode of Saved by the Bell.
Chess club the other day. How were you in chess club at all?
I was cut from the team.
Yeah, that was tough. We had to cut you.
I was a checkers guy.
They always say that. The dropouts, you're like the dentist. That's
exactly what they said. They said, "Hey, you're not cut out for the chess team, but there's a checkers team. This kid named Carl. It's just you two. You don't travel. You don't get to go play other schools."
You love those checkers, the dinosaur checkers. Bring those back.
No, I didn't even play checkers. I'm not into those games. I wish I was. Strategy games. I kind of I grip and rip in life, live by the seat of my pants.
You sure do.
But no, yeah, you've always tried to strategize things through your chess skills. But you haven't figured out a way to take me out.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I think you're part of my team. So
what am I? I'm not a pawn.
No, you're definitely not a pawn. What's a piece that is shooting down the other pieces on your team? Kind of like a wall.
Yeah, I'm an AWOL.
You're like an AWOL knight.
Yeah.
You won't necessarily go where you're told.
Come into the stable for a nibble or two, then I'm hopping the fence. Roaming free.
Yeah, that's you. That's your piece. Okay, the 90s, the other big 90s thing, which I wish my kids would get into, instead they're into Minecraft and really dumb stuff, but Pogs. Can you imagine if Pogs could come back? The amount of money I could invest in my kids' Pogs. I mean, the money that's flowing freely out there, the slammers that could be made right now.
Yeah, if you had to categorize my life in chapters, I probably had 5 chapters. One would be like wife and kids. One whole chapter is just Pogs. Just Pogs. Yeah. My whole life with Pogs, my strategy with Pogs, how much I spent on Pogs.
Yeah.
I still don't know how to play the game of Pogs.
I just like that your wife and kids weren't even separate chapters. You lumped those into one 5 chapter to make room for Pogs.
Yeah, the book isn't very long right now, but yeah, we cover a lot of Pogs. But yeah, Pogs were awesome.
They were awesome, but they were like, you and I share this, where we don't love to gamble because we know the value of $1, and we don't like losing hurts way more than winning feels, right?
Yes.
So Pogs were rough that way because they kind of replaced marbles. Marbles, they died out well before Pogs came out, but there wasn't an in between of let's play for keepsies, right? Yeah. So you'd bring those Pogs out, and sometimes you had some really cool Alf Pogs or some like obscure comic book that we weren't really into, but you could afford those Pogs. And you're playing a real player, and they're going to end up with all your Pogs, and they don't even want them. At the end of the day, they're going to take those home.
I was so attached to the Pogs. I picked them all out. I handpicked my Pogs. I'm not going to lose them at some recess to Carter, whatever.
Yeah, Carter
in the 4th grade.
Yeah, nice try, Carter.
Yeah, nice try. But people would show up with big sleeves of Pogs. That's when you know they were spoiled. We had the smaller amount.
If my kid, nowadays, my kids would have
so many Pogs. You'd have a room of
so
Pogs.
Many Pogs, yeah.
And your kids would have their own chapters on Pogs.
too bad. But the slammers, remember the ones with the edges? Oh, those are a mean slammer. You take one of those to the thumb, and you're chipping a nail.
Yeah, no, for real.
Yeah, pogs are good. They're a good phase. We'll bring those back. It's something that just happened in the news last night, actually, is this, and this could have like crazy impact on like World War III and all these sorts of stuff, but it's kind of crazy. Another helicopter crash. And this is the Iranian president heads over to Kazakhstan or wherever Borat's from. I think it's Azerbaijan.
Borat? Yeah, Borat was from
Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan, right?
We weren't big Borat people because I feel like it was really overdone. Like he was like Ace Ventura 2, Borat, right? Where people were really into
but I did like him.
Yeah. Yeah, the show objectively is funny, right? It's just the aftermath of the show that like really makes you hate the show.
So Borat.
Anyways, this Iranian president goes to visit this other country on its border because they're going to do like this commingling dam project together. And as he's flying back, his helicopter crashes. He dies because of bad weather. So it's like kind of this crazy, the president of Iran, who we don't have a great relationship with Iran. They're the ones supplying the Russians with a lot of these drones. So they've come out and said this is just a bad weather crash, right? But I think anybody's thinking like, yeah, that's the CIA. That's the CIA. That's got the CIA written all over it, right? But it's just these helicopters, these choppers. They kind of freak you out that way, right? I think they should be banned. I don't think there's any reason a human being needs to fly in a chopper.
Dave Kiley, who was just on, Diesel Dave, man, he's in helicopters all the time.
That's actually why I brought this up, because Dave, there's already clamors to get rid of Pod Boy and bring on Diesel Dave full time.
Dave would survive.
Pod Boy is here to stay.
Pod Boy is going nowhere.
You can't get rid of me. I pay the rent.
Even for celebrity Dave, Pod Boy stays.
Okay.
But if Dave went down in a helicopter, he would somehow survive.
Yeah. You do that trick where you just wait till it's about to crash.
It's like the elevator trick.
Yeah, elevator trick.
When you're about to hit the bottom, you jump.
You'll jump. And then you counter. Isaac Newton actually proved that theory.
Yeah.
Now you can read it in his
book.
book.
Did. That was how he figured it out. It wasn't the apple. It was the elevator. He figured out all.
Do you know where Isaac Newton went to college?
Cambridge.
Close. Dixie State.
Oh my gosh. I knew he was a local guy, but yeah, he did go to Cambridge though, but it's all good. You wanted to stump me there, didn't you?
No, I knew you do, because you told me to go to Cambridge.
Yeah,
it was one of your travel blogs.
Yeah, Cambridge is cool. I want an update from your boy Barbecue down over in Haiti.
I'll get you an update, but I don't think things have gone super well.
So Barbecue, it was in Haiti, right?
Yeah.
So Barbecue is essentially like all these gangs took over Haiti, and he's emerged as the top gang leader. Yeah. But he tortures people, so he's got the nickname Barbecue.
Tortures his enemies, but torturing people can be a double-edged sword, because when it comes time for you to die, to get dead, people oftentimes want to, like, if you're the barbecue, nothing funner than barbecuing the barbecue. Like right now, if you were to go throw away your barbecue at home, how would you get rid of it? Well, you'd blow it up, right?
Yeah. No, you're right. I think you got to email him or something, say, I'm your biggest fan.
Okay. And
get him over here for the pod. If we got Barbecue on the pod.
I think he did.
And we'll start with the question, just how did you get the name Barbecue? I want to see how he explains it.
Okay, I'll set up a Zoom request. He
probably has a whole chapter in his life about pogs too. That's the gateway. That's the gateway game into barbecuing your enemies.
You were either going to do an unpopular podcast, or you were going to torture your enemies alive when you were pod.
Do you miss living in the same room together?
Oh, I think about it a lot.
You got to tell our listeners how it all went down, how our breakup went down.
Yeah, because people do ask about this a lot.
Me and Alex had a sick bunk bed situation going on, and things were clicking pretty well when we were kids. Mm-hmm. Where did it go awry?
So I don't know exactly what the argument was about, but I do know that Zach had this. He got the top bunk, which everyone always wants a top bunk. I got the bottom bunk, which was bigger, but
the bottom bunk was.
But nobody wants the bottom bunk, okay? Because my legs are still too short to kick up, to really make you pay.
Could push me from the bottom.
And I didn't have the strength in the upper arms.
That's an ultimate move of the bottom bunk.
And so I just had to sit there. And meanwhile, he hangs his poster up, and it's just Michael Jordan, the Wings poster.
If you remember, Michael Jordan had a really cool poster. He had his arms spread out, and
he's palming a ball. Anyways, he has this poster, and he doesn't even hang it up on his level. He hangs it up right next to mine.
I wanted you to fall asleep with Michael's eyes looking down on you.
Right, and I wanted to put up a way cooler poster of, like a Final Fantasy or some sort of video game poster right there. So I got this, like, the most self-obsessed person on the planet just staring at me with his arms wide every night.
He had long arms.
So we got in a fight one day, and I knew how to get him where it counted. And I went and I just ripped his Wings poster in half, and then went to one of the other 3 open bedrooms that we had. We were probably like 14.
He moved out that day.
We were old.
Our time had come to an end together in the bunk beds. Yeah, the fact that you don't remember what I did to piss you off, I'm sure I did something.
Well, I kind of had
Maybe I took your... I think I did cover that in my POG chapter.
Go back and check the book.
Yeah, that you had... Like, I think I had taken some of your favorite POGs.
Yeah.
And lost them.
No, you probably did. I had some cool Charles in Charge POGs. Probably stole those.
Charles in Charge.
Yeah. We got...
Yeah, maybe...
I'm excited to see how this podcast ends, right? See if there's something similar, whether I just smash the equipment. I bite the cords. Arrgh.